Climate crisis is to me a mental stress, trauma and nightmare.
It's a lot of fear and anxiety, and there's anger there as well. Young people, and myself included, feel betrayed by world leaders.
Climate change, I always say, changes everything. It changes the way we think about the present, changes the way I think about the future.
We are standing up here and saying that we're sick of the funding of destruction. This is a matter of life and death. The climate crisis isn't just something abstract or far into the future. It is here and it is today. My name is Dominique Palmer. I am a climate justice activist based here in the UK.
I am Shonu Rahman, 24 years old. I work with the Youth Net for Climate Justice and I live in Burja City.
My name is Jennifer Uchendu. I'm 29 years old and I'm the founder of Susty Vibes. I live in Lagos, Nigeria.
So eco-anxiety for me is what actually got me involved in climate activism in the first place. I mean, scientists have literally just declared a code red for humanity, but we're looking at the slow action that is happening and it feels so frustrating, and sometimes it can feel quite hopeless until I'm back and organising with my community.
The very first thing I think I've done is recognizing that these feelings are valid. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to be afraid, scared, and even anxious.
What we're looking at is quite a few different ways where climate change causes tremendous psychological distress for youth and future generations. So first is the direct impacts. So things like natural disasters, whether it be floods, heat waves, droughts, the second being witnessing someone else suffering that causes significant psychological distress. The third is the anticipation of something happening. So for instance, this is where climate anxiety comes in.
I think it's really important to understand what eco-anxiety is or climate distress, and I really don't think it matters what we call it, because this is a distress that perhaps all of us are feeling when we think about what's happening to the planet today. It's really important to recognise this is not a mental illness, it's an mentally healthy response to feel distress, anxiety. And it's not just anxiety, it begins with an anxiety because of that sense of threat, but it frequently, rapidly then develops into a sense of fear, depression, despair, hopelessness, sometimes hope, determination, frustration, anger, that it's a whole complex mix of emotional responses.
I was witnessed with the super cyclone Cedar when I was a 12 years old boy, and that was a nightmare. So I was traumatized, and then I link up to that figure and fact that we have no fault for this devastation. That time I was traumatized and vulnerable, and currently I am the voice of the many young people who are facing this devastation. And also same thing for our future generation. So they will not survive in a underwater country and with polluted air also. So how they can survive in a dead planet?
Yeah. Right, thank you all for being here today. So for me, climate change, what's referred to now as the climate crisis, is just something that I think about every single day, and it's why I'm a climate justice activist.
What do we want? Climate justice! Why do we want it? Now! We are unstoppable! I know the world is possible!
So what I do is I focus on organising different climate actions and climate strikes, and working on different international campaigns and really engaging in climate policies and going to events like COP26 where these decision makers are, and really applying the pressure on them there to make sure that they're listening to our voices, they're listening to the young voice, and that we are standing up, and we can see the impact that it's had along even just the 2 years of the youth climate movement. And that's what I do. I just keep applying pressure until they listen. When I think about climate change, I just have a lot of anxieties and fear about the future, like the same with so many different young people, because it's like we've been born into this crisis. I also feel hope when I think about the future of a sustainable and green future where we can actually have climate justice, where we live in a world that doesn't continuously take from our planet, move from an extractive society to one in which we live in harmony with our planet, and we're listening to the science and we're not prioritizing profit over the planet and people.
People united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
Through Susty Vibes, I've been able to create this community of passionate young Nigerians who are not just being stuck in that fear and overwhelm. They're going out to the streets to, run advocacy on climate change. They're going to schools to talk to children about, climate change, environmental pollution, biodiversity loss, and all of the challenges we see around us. We're sort of trying to, take hope to action, planting trees, writing a lot of grant applications, saying we want to do our bit. We don't just want to complain. We also want to go out and do our bit. I think what has been really apparent has been anger for me, and I often connect that with eco-anxiety for young people who live in the global south. When we think of the climate injustice and how we bear the burden of climate change, even though we contributed the least to it, to say this is just not fair. We're just having to deal with other sustainable development issues, poverty, food insecurity, and then on top of that, climate change, which is very difficult and complex to sort out. The previous COP25, really sort of brought out this eco-anxiety I felt, because I just really saw a lot of deprioritization of climate issues from leaders. This year, I'm thinking with everything we've gone through with COVID-19, governments really should, see the importance now, and this year is really monumental. It's really important. If we don't sort of make those urgent, bold moves, I feel like we would miss it. So there's that ambition and high hopes